Welcome to the Cutting Edge Cosplay Podcast, where your fellow geek girls hang out and talk all things cosplay. Today, we are joined with a special guest, Old World Charm, who is a professional dungeon master. Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yay.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
We're so excited too. So tell us, what is a professional dungeon master, please?
In different circles, it has different meanings, but for the tabletop realm, it is where you are facilitating a game experience, tabletop role play, specifically Dungeons and Dragons. Different editions exist, but I run 5th edition prevailingly right now, and I do it online and in person, and people end up just paying me for an incredible collaborative, hallucinogenic storytelling experience. And I always call it, collaborative hallucinations, but that's really what imagination is. We're not actually doing hallucinogenics, but it's always theater of the mind and just immersive role play.
And you do a lot of streaming for this, right?
I do, on a channel called Skull for Initiative, like the Viking cheers skull. And cheers,
Cheers.
everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah, you can't skull without it.
Yeah.
So what got you into D&D? What was your intro into that world?
Dungeons and Dragons is part of the oldest tradition of human civilization, which is storytelling. And I've always been a storyteller, even from a little lad. My mom couldn't shut me up telling stories, and I wanted to live my life. Yeah, right. She didn't think so, but she's happy I'm making money now off of it. My parents would be like, "You can't make money off of games," and here we are in this generation where people are absolutely buying their parents' houses with games, and so
Born at exactly the right
right.
time.
Yeah. So I ended up having just one of those really intense imaginations. It was something that I could not control. And I ended up finding the right friends in middle school, just also good fellow nerdy people. And they pulled me in, and it was the three of us taking turns doing kind of a story for the other two, and just kind of going through the three of us. And I got into high school and kept doing it, got into college, and I just kept introducing every circle of friends. It almost was like this rite of passage to bring them on and have that experience, this shared fun. And eventually COVID happened, and I just kind of realized, I'm going to find something to do for working from home. I was doing personal training. It was hard to do it over Zoom calls. It's hard to kind of make sure people are safe. And so I kind of started phasing that out and saying, I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to chase my greatest passion. And my greatest passion was Dungeons and Dragons. It was something I've been doing for now over 20 years. And when you do something well, you don't do it for free, right?
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you stream just the virtual games, or do you stream your in-person games as well?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we do virtual games predominantly, and I have people who gather their friends and purchase seats at kind of the virtual table, and
cool.
which is very cool. We do raffles as well for people who might not have the financial situation, and they get a chance. And my community is incredible. The Skull for Initiative community is that of people will purchase raffle tickets for other people, complete strangers, just because they show interest, because they want people to have a chance at it, and no one wants to say, I can't have fun because I don't have the money for it. And so very few. And then there's also people who actually go out of the way when they hear someone who's never had a D&D game, they'll buy a seat for them at their table and say, I'm going to bring you in on my group.
I love that.
And so it's a very generous group. And that's a pretty incredible experience. But then every now and then we do meetups, and we'll set up something like this. Not as nice as your setup, obviously, but this is a pretty beautiful setup. But I did do a 12-hour one-shot special for Curse of Strahd on I think it was Halloween with some friends.
How big was that group?
It was a group of, I think we had 5 or 6 of us at the table, and rented a really nice Airbnb with a beautiful big oak wooden table, and did
You look through the videos and you're like, no, let me see that table.
Right, tell us the table. Yeah.
I gotta roast
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Let's hear the sound of the
not
dice
interested.
on them. Yeah. No, seriously though, that doesn't mean a
Hot
nutshell.
tub. You can't play Dungeons and Dragons in a hot tub.
A floating dice roller, and we're talking.
Oh my God, that's the next generation right there. If there's hot tub girl streams, there's going to be hot tub dungeon master streams.
Ladies, I know our next active episode.
Yes.
So next summer,
I gotta work on my tan for that.
Coming to you.
comment below if you you want to see us play Dungeons and Dragons in a hot tub.
It's now happening.
Yes, we have to make it happen. So, I don't know if our viewers can tell, but we had decorated our set a little differently than we normally do for this joyous occasion of celebrating D&D. And we have a little bit of a cosplay going on. So I just started playing Dungeons and Dragons for the first time this year, and it's something I've always wanted to play for a long time. I had dabbled a little bit on in one group that was primarily online. So I'm glad that I kind of got the ropes of the game, but it was really nice after COVID to actually get together with our friends that I knew and to do it in person. So my character is a wood elf ranger, and I actually play D&D with bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my partner leads our group, and so I'm a tiefling rogue in our game. I'm not very good at undoing locks, but try hard.
She's very good at
Sometimes-
thieving.
I'm good. Thief.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
That's actually why I chose a tiefling. A, because they're really cool and like demony, and you have lots of like cool weapons you can use, like the soul.
Dark vision.
Yeah. But I mostly picked it because then I got to say that I was a tiefling.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
The play on words.
I just wanted to be like a female Geralt kind of in a way. So I like how
Relatable.
the elves could just be
Nice.
like meditate and then like have to sleep. And I just kind of was like, oh, that's who I'm gonna be. Because it's my first time too. So I didn't like have like my own creative like personality I wanted to like ingest. So inject
Ooh,
into my
ingest.
character.
Ingest.
Nice personality.
Right.
Yeah.
Devour.
So
I'm gonna-
Rebecca, you started too recently.
Last summer I started reading all of the books, and I very vividly remember bringing them all to like my family's beach trip on the Oregon
my
coast and just
gosh.
cracking open these books. Everybody's got their little beach reads, and I've got this D&D book, which was great. I was a little
hilarious.
low-key stressed about it though, because it's a lot of information.
It is.
And I've always heard about D&D, but hadn't actually played myself. And so lo and behold, I was talking to Bears like a couple weeks later, and I was like, I think I know what character I'm going to do. And she's like, ooh, what? And I was like, a tiefling rogue soul knife. And she's like, that's what I am. So we are very similar in that way.
Wow.
So that game's been going on about a year.
Nice.
Awesome.
And that's online, right?
That one is online.
Okay.
So, because we're all spread out, we've got Washington, Oregon, California, and Texas. So a lot of different states involved, but it's a group of 6 players, 1 DM.
Wow.
Nice. That's a big game. That's a big game. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your minds here. Everyone's first character is thought psychologically to be the iteration, the avatar you wish to be in life.
I have heard that.
Relatable.
Yeah.
So,
I have heard that.
yeah. And then eventually start making, different iterations of your personality because you realize that's what you can lean on. But your first character is usually who you kind of want to be in or want it to have
This
a
is
chance to
what I
be.
want to
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of badasses. That's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Ferocious.
I'm glad that's how I came
I'm curious, what was your first character?
Okay, so my first character was in 3rd edition 21 years ago. His name was Aglos Bladewind. Such an edgy name.
Yes, Edgelord.
You're right, Edgelord. So I picked the name because it was I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings, and the Aglos is the Elvish word in Tolkien's Elvish for icicle. Once again, so edgy and cold.
Literally.
And I made the rules back then were so crazy. But I made a fighter sorcerer hybrid because I want to do basically I thought I want to do everything, but what I made was a character who does everything poorly because I split myself so thin.
Like jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
Better than one.
But it was really embarrassing. But I had fun with my friends. I was role playing, but my character did end up losing an eye to a pitchfork wielding farmer because
Oh boy.
because my characters did not understand how you can easily get your butt kicked in the game. And I'm sure you guys have experienced, F around and find out kind of elements to the game. So I got an eye patch and that was cool. So that was my first character.
That's pretty cool.
Builds character.
Getting stabbed in
Literally.
the eye.
Literally builds character, yes.
Do you still play like fighter sorcerers?
I haven't really even touched them since. Now I'm playing.
You're like, no,
that was traumatizing.
The trauma was too much. No, my character class these days is a bard or a paladin, and sometimes a paladin bard multiclass.
Okay.
Yeah, when I said I wanted to do everything, let me tell you, bards in this edition, 5th edition, can pretty much do everything, and the performative elements, the having charisma as your ability to do magic. Something about the idea of, well, being a professional dungeon master, the storytelling magic in a bard, it makes perfect sense. So yeah. So, yeah.
Do you write your own bard songs?
I do. I write, actually, so I do perform. I published a poetry book actually just recently, and you can find it on Amazon under thank you.
Yeah.
Lost in the Woods by Ariane Scalise. Lost in Woods spelled like would or would not. And I actually will play a game sometimes where I read one of my poems as a part of my bardic performance. And I have very short, like one stanza ones for like in battle and things like that. So yeah. And sometimes I'll freestyle, and that is mixed results. Yeah.
So sometimes you DM, sometimes you play. What's the breakup between those two things?
Let's see. In the last 2 decades, I've gotten to play less than 10 times.
Okay.
It's pretty much a 99.9 dungeon master. And then that 0.1% has, in just the last couple of years, has flourished due to making these amazing connections with people like yourself who have a love of the game and want to kind of either bring me on as a guest and have me play. And I try not to make them regret it with the shenanigans I've pulled from my wealth of information I have.
Do you feel like with all of are they called NPCs, all the extra characters, then you can like kind of, that's your time to shine?
Exactly. You're onto it. You know how we DMs work this way. When we know we can't play, we basically put more life into our non-player characters, the NPCs. And by doing so, we kind of have a character that is very much involved in the storytelling with the players as a beloved companion, sometimes a partner to the party, or sometimes as a villain, either secretly or very, playful, challenging rival to the party. So I get to wear many hats. So.
Do you have any NPCs that are like across all your games?
Yes, actually, I do. So I have done something very unique that my followers love, and that I have created the Charm multiverse. So I make sure that all my campaigns are somehow connected in a so like cross-dimensional familiarity. So I have a character called Lily, and she's a amazing neurodivergent young wizard who can't make eye contact with people and can't talk directly to them. So she talks to her crystals. And in that way, she, it was very much inspired by a character from one of my favorite book series. But she will talk to the crystals in front of the people that she's trying to talk to. And she becomes like, everyone's like, I'll protect you with my life. You're so sweet. And so I've kind of dropped Lily in different campaigns because everyone's like, you're so sweet. I won't let anything happen to you.
Protect her.
Yeah.
Love that inclusivity too. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I have an amazing following of every kind of demographic, and I want to make sure that even the most obscure demographics or the most, I think D&D has historically catered to the less sociably, like cued people, because that's what it was back in the 80s. It's like it was for the outsiders, the outcasts, and now of course D&D is at its prime and peak, where we have now a D&D movie coming out. We have celebrities who are openly playing D&D, and this is like the golden era. But it took a lot of work getting there. But the thing that I love seeing is when people are able to represent themselves or see pieces of themselves represented in characters or NPCs, including, neurodivergence or LGBTQ, all of it's just so valid. And that's my big thing for making sure people see something of whatever it is that they have not gotten a chance to see in social media on that game. So
awesome.
That's amazing. That's a really good point you make, actually, where the game kind of started off for the people who are in the shadows of society, not like, just socially awkward, and this was the place that people could go. And it wasn't necessarily adopted at large until very recently.
Yeah.
But like, as a socially awkward person myself,
same.
I don't know that I would have.
We're all pretty socially awkward. Yeah.
I don't know that I would have known how to even get into it, except that my partner's really into D&D. So say none of my friends are into it, nobody that I know is into it. How would I find a spot?
How can someone find that community?
So I definitely suggest coming onto my Twitch channel and jumping in the chat. My people are some of the most amazing people in that.
Chats are so wholesome.
It's so cool. It's so awesome. People have, like, this is like a weird thing that, like, say it's not like so much a flex, but people have said like your community has changed the course of my life towards being a low self-esteem, self-deprecating, or just feeling like a loner, to feeling like I have friends who very much care about my well-being at any time and all times. I have someone to talk to now, or I have a place to feel like I belong, even if it's just in an audience setting, because my audience as a group are very much involved. So the chat's constantly going. When someone new pops in, immediately somehow they're gifted a sub. So like they are gifted a sub so they can stay a month and get a feel for the community. We have a free Discord. So we pop that link and say, join us. We have a little intake form where I say, like, tell us about you. We want to get to know you. And we just engage them. And then and next thing you know, so many people, many people have and have never played D&D. But very quickly they go from never playing D&D to, and it's incredible, they go to playing live with me, live on stream, which is, I tell them,
That's brave.
I was like, I was like, you guys have no idea how I start. I don't think I could have safely started that way. I started in a dirty room with 2 other teenage boys, and we were just goofing around. And now your first game, some of these people are into their, 30s, 40s, even 50s, playing D&D for the first time because they always wanted to, but it wasn't accessible, especially to women, which is such crap, that there was a lot of gatekeeping, and there's none of that in my community. And so what you end up having is this like all women powerhouse D&D games.
Yes.
And me fueling that fire of, the feminine, divine, nerdy awesomeness. And the next thing you know, you got something like this, where you got people are just like, blood in, blood out. This is it. So.
Yeah. Cool that we can just openly talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
I know.
Yeah, you can say my character is, and you're not going to be like, people are like, what, are you schizophrenic? And you're like, no.
For real, yeah. And there's been a huge culture shift, because you're right, it did start off as, if you said Dungeons and Dragons, like it wasn't even shortened to like D&D, it seems. Like it was Dungeons and Dragons, which you immediately picture, an old musty basement kind of thing. They wear like a crooked wizard hat kind of thing. And now it's
Elf
just
ears.
like, it's in Stranger Things. It's in mainstream media. Everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. And I love how Stranger Things has really done a good job showcasing the generational difference of what it was to what it is now. Like I said, we have Chris Pine as the face of D&D in a movie, isn't that weird? That is cool. We have celebrities like Vin Diesel played D&D, Terry Crews, just a lot of people who are like action stars, just being able to get their nerd on. And a lot of them now are at that space where they're teaching their kids and playing with their kids. And it's like, that's cool. That's awesome.
I wonder what it would be like to be a professional actor, and then now you get to play Dungeons and Dragons, where you're basically acting at another character. I wonder how different the experience would be in a room full of like professional actors.
Well, if they're all your friends, right? Like this energy, you would be able to go, I think, a little more deep off the improv game and just go like take more risks with your role play, and your maybe try a new voice, because I think in the acting world, everything is kind of, that's why there is a director. You're being directed, you're being given a script, you're given almost like the raw material, and those actors do a good job taking that raw material. But in D&D, you get to bring your raw material to the table, and you take the risks of shaping it over sessions. And I know you guys probably, if you did a cross-reference of your first session ever and where your character is now, if you had your character now, talk to your character session 0 or session 1. It's a fun mental experiment to go like, hey, what happens to us? And your character is going back and says, we get real brave real quick, and we go through some stuff, or hey, we're in love now, or oh my God, we've gone through some loss. We lost a good friend, but that's a powerful thing. I get chills thinking about it,
I just lost my wolf, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Moment of silence.
What was your wolf's name?
Wolfie.
All right. Can I put Wolfie in one of my games? Can I pay tribute to Wolfie? Yes.
Bring him back to life.
Wolfie lives on.
Moment here on the podcast, guys.
Tune in to see the rise of Wolfie in one of these episodes. Yes.
So how important is role playing to D&D? Do you have to role play? Do you have to have voices? Can people do it without? What do you think?
Yeah. So I always say, for the nature of accessibility, bring what you are most comfortable with to the table, right? But as a DM, it's a lot of moving parts, and your goal is to be like the perfect host in a way. It's like you have your guests and you play host. And what is a host without a meal, some beverages, a sense of comfort, a sense of just where they can leave everything at the door. And as a dungeon master, you definitely want to bring voices for immersion. You want to bring a sense of maybe some props, nothing crazy. You don't really need much. But as a player, you can go from bringing nothing. Like we used to in the days, one person had a set of dice and we all shared dice at a table. Now we are all dice goblins. And now we have, these are my dice are in dice jail and are punished for rolling low. And these are my dice in the dice therapy chair. I'm not kidding. My people actually have dice therapy chairs and dice jails that they make and sell. It's awesome.
We're going to need to adopt that because we definitely have had some naughty sets.
All right. I'll talk to my people and see if we can, I can commission some dice therapy chairs or dice jails, depending on your vibe. if you're a punish or reward kind of person.
Oh my gosh, what a cool idea.
Yeah. So
their little chair with the scissors in the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
The C is actually sofa. This could be a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone 3D model this.
Little guillotine that the dice falls into. It's like a dice roller guillotine. Something crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but I have to say this, as a player, when you get more into the role play and the more into the voices, it makes you feel more of a contributor to the collaborative element of storytelling. Mm-hmm. It's all at your comfort level, at your pace. There's so many tips and tricks I help people with to get into characters and to help them explore a character and get in the mindset of a character. Because at the end of the day, it's a bit of escapism. It's one part escapism. And that part is you don't want to play yourself at the table. Like, you don't want to you don't want a DM who brings the things that you're stressed about into the game. You don't want to deal with the traumas that you've had. And that's why my intake forms are like, give me your triggers, give me the things that you never want to see in a game, words you never want to hear. As a default, there's certain things I obviously avoid. SA is one of the big things I tell people, if you as a DM need SA to make a villain, you have no understanding of the versatility of a villain. Yeah. You don't need sexual violence to make a bad guy. I can make a bad guy who never even engages in harm to the players to earn their ire and wrath and hate.
I feel like those are the best villains almost because they're scarier.
Right.
It's not like it's coming to get me. Yeah. It's like it's coming to get my soul.
A villain who doesn't have to touch you to make your character struggle or sweat or have a moment of trepidation is the best villains ever written.
What kind of tips do you give players to get more into character?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. The first one off the top of my head is I tell them, make a playlist.
Oh my gosh,
that is so our vibe.
Rebecca's instant first thing anytime she even has a character.
Yes. Yeah. Look at that. She was just like, I'm on it.
I was like, right now, we got on the way here.
Yeah. It's fine. Make a playlist.
We actually have some great playlists on the Cutting Edge Cosplay Spotify.
Plug it in.
They're actually bangers. They're really good.
What's one song that each of your characters vibes out to?
Villain by KDA.
Ah, dang it, that was mine.
Oh my god.
Well, it's because we're both tiefling. We're both so I guess that makes sense.
I'm like probably I don't know the name of it, but it's like the Game of Thrones like instrumental song.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
There's the intro. I guess I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
What about you?
I've been vibing with this band Rain Paris, and she and her crew do covers, but Running Up the Hill.
My gosh,
but she does a cover that has me like it's my workout jam. It's my writing jam.
Is it a slower version or is it like an upbeat?
It's rock. It's like hard rock. It's like harder rock where it's like it's because she put so much emotion into the song. The lyrics are originally about the original artist wrote it about I think her partner committing suicide and jumping off a building. And so the Rain Paris puts a very powerful emotional cry into I would have done anything to switch places with you, which is what the song's about. And when you're trapped under heavy weight and you're going for a PR, like I'm all about, I'm like, I need to feel like I'm saving someone, and that's.
We're listening to that after this episode.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. So playlists. I've always said that when I'm trying to find a new NPC voice, I'm in the shower where the acoustics are best and no one can hear me sound like a crazy person. So, I've developed like one of my favorite NPCs, Baldir, and hello, I am Baldir.
That's great.
Thank you. And all manner of different weird characters. So a little bit of trying out a voice is fun. A lot of people are daunted.
Okay.
It's a daunting thing to bring a voice to the table, and especially across 3 hours or something like that to maintain that voice, depending your games. I have players right now who've played with me for several years who are trying out their first voices, and some of them are like little goblin voices, and yes, ho ho ho, and it's like really fun to see them like jump out and try something new, and I'm just like so proud to see people take on a milestone. Like I said, it took them 2 years after playing D&D to try a voice, but when they did, they're like, oh, why didn't I do this earlier?
I feel like Bears and I are just now starting to do some voices. Right now, we're in a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and you've been playing a couple older men as your characters. So she has the old man, like
I wanted to just get as like far away from myself as possible, and it
That's
makes it
the way.
it makes it kind of easier to get into the game because it's not like what would I do? It's like I have no like way of knowing how this type of person would do it, so I can get like really into their brain. But if I was playing like early 30s female. But in the 1920s, it'd be like, okay, well, what would I do in the 1920s?
do cocaine. Right? You know, standard stuff in the 1930s. It's medicine.
I will say this. Our group hasn't, I think we're all really new. And so we haven't dived too deep into voices just yet. I think it's kind of exactly what you were saying. It's a little bit intimidating, and especially because nobody else is really doing it, then you're like, should I even do it?
So I shouldn't put you on the spot right now and have you guys do voices, is what you're saying.
Wait, I'm not done with my story.
come back to us.
If I talk long enough, he might forget.
Wait for this to break out and then
All right. Let's get some more pours here.
Finish your
Down the hatch.
Right.
But we have had some guest players come in who are a little bit more experienced to just kind of naturally go into the voices. And it's really helpful as a player to have other players do voices, because then it kind of differentiates between, is the character saying it or is the person saying it?
True.
Because that's actually really hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. So our DM does the voices, but all of us players, there's 4 or 5 of us, we all do not. So it would be actually probably very helpful to know if this is like an outside conversation or if like we're in
Well, I suggest getting together. This is a fun little exercise I do. Write down a character archetype or trope, like creepy old man or a person who's just stolen something and is very nervous to be caught, like almost like an improv game. Put all those into a bag and have each of you go around and draw and not share them with anyone, and just try to like see if people can guess what kind of person you are by the voice that you're trying.
Like whose line is
it's
it
like
anyway?
whose line is it anyway, which is awesome. But it definitely helps people have a game instead of feeling they have a project to do or homework. It's like you don't want to feel like you can fail, and that's I think what stops people from trying in almost anything in avenue of life. But I always tell people, fail hard, fail often, get bad at it so you can be good at it, and leave those laughable moments of struggle behind you instead of,
or on camera like we do.
where it's immortalized.
Well, and I feel like there are a lot of different levels that you can go when it comes to getting into a character voice, because you don't have to have an accent necessarily. Like accents make me nervous because I'm like, I'm gonna get it wrong, I'm gonna be judged, they're gonna hate me. But you can still like change your voice to make it lower, to make it higher. Like my tiefling right now, I kind of play her as if she had one too many Red Bulls. And so it's like her voice is a little too fast and a little bit too high, but it's fun. It's still doable. It's not an accent that you have to remember the whole time, but it's more like an energy level that you slip into and out of.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a good idea.
So with regional accents, as a DM, I'm aware that there's actually people in almost every time zone that watch my show, which is intense, because there's people who are like awake at it's like 3 a.m. and they're watching, and it's like in Scotland or something like
Dedication.
that. And I'll use real world accents to inspire things. And I try to remind people, like, if you hear me do an accent wrong, it's because we're in a fantasy world and that place doesn't exist, but that place is inspired by the Highlands.
Okay.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's a point to make that you're saying my name is Dante Elegante and blah, blah, blah. And make that character like that sound like that. I'm like, I'm not paying homage to any kind of like Latin influenced or West European kind of thing. It's just, that's just the part of the world that he's from. And when you go to that part of the world, people talk like that. Or I will do kind of like a Scottish thing and have when a Scottish viewer is like, actually, that's not that bad. And you're like, oh, thank God.
Awesome.
But, it does feel pretty intense, especially when you're live and being viewed by people from different parts where you're like, am I going to be judged? Am I going to sound offensive? But at the end of the day, this is the fantasy realm. So you got to kind of, if all dwarves happen to sound like a Scotsman, then that's a trope that we try to break. But
That's hilarious.
every DM is guilty. I don't care who you are.
You thought about it.
You've thought about it. Just yep.
Do you ever dress up for your games?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. I'll do the guy liner. I'll do the crown, the horns.
Fun.
A lot of my games I'm only visible from pretty much the chest up. So I'll have like these cool like neck or shoulder pieces, like the feathers kind of over the shoulder and all kinds of stuff like that. But like what you guys got going on is actually perfect because one of those questions that you had is how do you get in character? It's like having a prop to remind you, like when you put it on, there's something like very much involved with classical conditioning or Pavlovian conditioning where as soon as you associate this prop with that voice or that attitude and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're kind of walking with a swagger or you're kind of getting energy going, it's easier to slip into that skin. And so there are certain characters or villains or something that I'm like, I need to wear this crown for this guy, like it's going to help me get there. And, to sometimes you have to have something to be able to like click on in a moment that's very hard to access sometimes, especially when I'm talking to myself as an NPC talking to another NPC. And I can't just like switch out the hats,
Come on.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to watch.
But I know. It's like,
Yes. It's like a shelf with all the different.
right. I was like, hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, just
Right. Yeah, just a chair that just spins.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. But, you do what you can, you use what you can. Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is the villain, the sock puppet.
Yes.
That'd be so fun. Actually, you know what? I
He's
might
got a
make a
little-
character
That's a good idea.
who's
Oh my
controlled
God.
by an evil sock puppet.
No, you don't.
And I'm going to. You've just inspired this. I'm making a character who they think it's him, but it controlling a sock, but it's the sock controlling him.
I
That's what I'm going
love
to do
it.
now.
Yes.
I've got Wolfie as inspiration, and I've got evil sock puppet wizard.
So here's a question for you.
Yes.
What is the ideal group size? Is there such thing as too many people, too few people?
Ooh, I have DM'd for as many as 12 at once.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And that works because it was a physical in-person party setting where people were able to get up and get chips and salsa and when it wasn't their turn and blah, blah, blah. It was just a good time. I've definitely done one where we went from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it was a big group. So people kind of got to come and go.
Why did you do PM to AM? Why?
Is that just the vibe?
It would have been, I think, harder to get into the drinking element of social drinking from 6 a.m. to 6
I guess
p.m.
that's fair.
Day drinking. I don't know.
One's acceptable, one's not.
Right. I don't know. Just the night. Going
party.
from sundown to sun up is just a vibe.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
So,
Okay.
so I've done, that's like the cap that I've done. That's the greatest. And like I said, it was casual.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel disrespected by people getting up when it wasn't their turn or anything like that. I just said, help yourself. And when it's your turn and when you want to engage, you're there, you're not. And the best size for, I'd say, because online has a different element where you can't read the body language of each other. So you don't know when one person's you're going to step on some toes. So their pacing is a little different, which means you got to kind of have a bit of a slower game. And a slower game means not everyone's going to get as much face time or moments in because you can't riff off of each other as easily online as you can in person. Like the physical element of communication is what, like 75% of human communication is physical. So when you're reading someone's body language while they're in character or not, it's so much better to get involved in the emotionality, and that makes for the best role play scenes and the memorable moments with your friends. Online, very different. So what I do is, because I'm a professional, I have to actually make sure people who are paying me for a service and experience each get a fair amount of what they want. I try to make it a smaller group. So I guarantee across 3 hours, no one goes, oh, I was like, I was talked over the whole time, or I didn't get a cool act. I didn't get a cool moment where my character did something that made a difference. I never want someone leaving my table with that energy. And thankfully, so far, I don't think anyone has. And I always do like almost like, not exit interviews, but like check-ins afterwards and things like that to kind of get a feel for how people enjoyed it. And thankfully, only good things. But 3 to 4, to answer your question, is my happy place.
Okay.
Online, in person, I'm happy to go up to about 5, 6.
Okay.
But it all depends on the caliber of people, and I don't care if they're new or experienced. I just care if they're, maybe open-minded and polite with each other's energies. Not to someone to yank the reins of the whole game and make it about them. I'm the main character, blah blah blah. Or when it's player versus player kind of elements where it's kind of, there's certain faux pas in D&D where it's like, don't attack your teammates, don't attack the other players. Try not to rob from them too much. Looking at you rogues.
What are you talking about?
But yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I'm sure you guys have like a bet who can steal the most from the party without being noticed or something like that.
I know one of the things that our DM had mentioned to me for the first time was like, he really wanted to make sure that I didn't steal the show. Not like me personally, just that people might go into a game thinking that they have the floor, they can go on their own little adventures, but it's like, no, this is actually like a big group effort. We need to be together. We're going like this is a
don't split the party.
Don't split the party.
Don't split the party.
Yeah, don't split up.
And then also you just don't do your own like little like today's my day to shine on my own kind of thing, where it's like I don't know. I've never played before, so I didn't know what that was like. So that was kind of good to
That's a good
keep in
intake.
mind.
That's a good, like, it made you feel, like you said, I didn't feel like he was talking or he or she were talking to me directly about problems. Like I wasn't going to be wrong, but just to make you aware that, you know, if you see someone doing this, that's not how we play the game. You know, if you see a DM correcting it, it almost kind of needs to be said what a DM will try to help guide away from being a problem, so that it's like a socially awkward kind of game when someone's like kind of isn't socially aware that they're pulling away from everyone else's fun, and no one wants to be the fun sucker, and you need a DM who can gently go, maybe something else, you know, or that's making this person uncomfortable. I
feel like you run that risk with bigger parties because somebody feels like they have to lead.
Yes.
You know, lead the horde. And
Lead the horde.
So I've run into that with my 6-player thing where somehow it naturally works out where there's like 2, maybe 3 people who talk the most during that one day. But then the next time we play, without being told to like take a step back, like someone else will step up.
That's cool.
And so it kind of creates its own equilibrium, which is great.
Yeah. A lot of people kind of fall into these unfortunate somehow archetypes of the mom or dad energy of a group. And, you know, they feel like they need to be like, you can role play a good mom friend without needing to be the person who talks the most or does, or kind of herds the ducklings, you know? There's a lot of that energy where somehow people fall into a sense of role with their character that they think need to make the decisions for everyone. But as long as that is like you can read the room, read the moment, like you said, and maybe that's this session's time. You know, Mama Bear Paladin says, you know, we're in the city now. No, don't go pissing off the city guards, and let me make sure that you know, I'll take care of the room. You guys all sleep in this room, so no, we don't get assassinated or something by enemies or something like that. You know, so yeah, there's that ebb and flow of different session to session, and not everyone's going to be fully happy sometimes with a session. For any reason, it's so difficult. You have to kind of temper your expectations. For like, okay, you know, I've been a player where I'm like, oh man, I felt like I could have literally not been here and made any difference. But the next time, the DM set me up for that awesome spike moment where I'm like, man, I got like the adrenaline rush, even though I'm just sitting in a chair. Like I was like, you know, it's not my time today, but next time it could be, and a good DM will kind of help you with that. So
as a DM, after you run a game. Do you have any sort of after, you know, it's like the prep before the game, but then what about after, like reflection on like how it went and like what you wanted to do differently?
Yeah. So I'll do like I do, God, it's called aftercare.
Aftercare? Okay. It's like, is this a thing?
Yeah. So for sometimes games, we, especially in our Discord, after people go to Twitch, sometimes they'll go to Discord and chat on the channel, and especially the players get to gush about their experience or talk, kind of decompress.
So cute.
And the audience gets to literally be in a position sort of typing to be like, hey, like, are you suspicious of this character when you had this? Like, do you trust this person? Or people like, you know, like, oh my God, like, were you really mad at player number 3? You guys were yelling at each other. And it's like, no, that was us role playing. That was us role playing. And you get to have the audience who are, you know, very socially anxious people. But, you know, it's like if you see people kind of like going after each other in a situation, but then afterwards they're like laughing and you're like, I'm so confused. I don't know how to read the emotions here. Is this authentic? And sometimes people need reassurance, whether it's the players or the audience needs to know that wasn't real. And that's the really good role play biting into it. And so we'll do that now and again. And some people are curious. All players ask, did that go the way you thought it would go?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, that escalated quickly. No, but it's more important as a DM not to railroad, not to have which it means like a train only goes on its tracks. So that's the slang of saying, you know, guiding a party as though their choices don't make any difference. And that's bad storytelling. Because if your choices make no difference, then you're not going to be invested in anything. So I do something called sandbox style. And sandbox is, if you imagine all the kids on the playground playing in the sandbox and playing, this is my imagination over here, and this is my imagination here, and anything can happen, and it's all accepted, and it's all cool. And everyone's choices, for the most part, matter. A good DM will make the most unlikely of choices later surprise you. You know, I had a merchant just recently in a one-shot with some new players that they helped him fix he had a broken wheel on the road. They helped fix the wheel. So they're like, oh, I'm helping. And then in the next scene, they start extorting him.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh, this is quite a change. Oh my. And everyone, and
sounds a little familiar.
Right. So I have him give,
What?
He was going to give gasp my pearls. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I had him give them, he was going to give them helpful information. And I was like, he's going to give them the opposite information. So he's like, yeah, you're going to want to drink from this well because it's blessed. And it actually, he was going to originally tell him, don't drink from this well, it's cursed. But so they ended up drinking from this well because they treated this guy so poorly. You know, they thought maybe, oh, he's giving us like good information because we're threatening. He's like, no, I'm out of here. And they're going to drink from that well and get cursed. And they did. And it's kind of like one of those things where like, be careful how you treat people who, you know, like
it's not the consequences of my own actions.
NPCs are there for a reason sometimes.
I don't know. Being cursed sounds like a fun night.
You're right. Yeah, it's a one shot, whatever.
It's Friday.
You're tiefling, you're born cursed.
You're
What's
born
new?
cursed. Oh my God.
True.
I was born cursed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question about that actually. So you're saying, of course, don't railroad, which like, as you're saying that out loud, of course. But stories are written in a certain way, right? You have the story. Right. I don't actually think I've ever read the way that like the one-offs and things are written by the professionals. I've only ever played through them, but they seem to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, here's how the story goes.
Yeah.
And here are the monsters that you're going to encounter, et cetera, et cetera. Here are some key locations. So if this is my first time ever DMing, I know that I don't want to railroad the players. However, this book is just telling me point A, point B. Right. There we go. How do I expand that?
Okay. So it's a good thing. This is a really hard thing to balance. And that's if you're using modules, how do you improvise if characters go off the script, or how do you give them the opportunity to not feel trapped into multiple choice answers for experiences? Modules are unfortunately designed in such a way where, they can only accommodate for so much. And that's probably the great minds at Wizards of the Coast with their great modules. You know, you have some bangers and you have some flops, but all of them try to be in such a way where if this, then this template. So if the players want to go here, then let's go to this section of the book. It's almost like R.L. Stein, like Goosebumps.
Choose your own
yes.
So like,
I loved that.
So you don't necessarily need to read the book front to back in that order chronologically, you know, and thankfully the modules have built in them a sense of trying not to make the module fall apart if they do something out of order. So it's kind of like this illusion of choice is built into it by, we have 5 different, we have different temples that we need to go to collect the artifacts at each temple. You could have the players play that same module different times and go through different orders, and hopefully it still holds is how it's written. But you're all right. They can't really go to other places in the game outside of, as a new DM, if you're going off a module, you have to kind of use those maps. You have to use those character blocks, stat blocks. At that point, I say, try to use the yes and rules of improv and just try to connect what resources you have in the book to where they're going. There's a meme I saw that was awesome just yesterday, and it's like, the castle is to the north of town. And they're like, let's not go there. Let's go east. And and then next it shows a picture, Howl's Moving Castle. And it's like, the castle is moving east now. And I loved that, it was just such a classic, awesome. The castle is to the north and, but it's moving east. It's moving east. It moves. It's a moving castle. A moving castle. Now we want to inspect it, So yeah, it's cutting you off.
One thing that one of my DMs did, I've only ever had one DM.
He's a good one.
One thing my DM did.
But you married him, so.
Yeah. Locked him down. Spicy. more stories.
Story time.
You are like
story time.
Papa.
But he had an item that we had to use, which was like a ribbon.
Mhm.
It was like a little girl's ribbon, and we were supposed to find it in town. But we went to town in the nighttime and everything was closed, and he kind of expected us to like dick around and eventually wait for
We
everything
went
to
to
open.
town in the nighttime and dicked around. Go on.
Let it happen.
We went off into the woods.
I'm like, what role play are we talking about?
Yes,
Yes, and.
But we actually ended up going in a direction that was not on.
Learning.
We ended up going in a direction that was not on any of the maps, and so he just was like, "Well, they're in a town. It's D&D world.
It's Townsvillington.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a farm out there." And so the item that we were supposed to find in town, we ended up finding in a barn instead, and there was a whole little like adventure attached to that that he was just like completely making up as he went. And so it's possible that you don't have to go by the book on everything.
Yeah, but it's funny that you also could tell that he was improving and you still.
No,
Oh,
I
really?
couldn't.
Didn't? Oh.
He told me later, that wasn't in the book. He was still looking at his sheet as if he had something to look
that's
at.
such a DM move.
Okay.
That's such a DM move.
I
I
would
would be
be
like, yes.
Frantically flipping, just like,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
He was
Sexy
and I was-
goblin? That's what that mean.
I brought it up later just because I was like, oh yeah, you remember when we went to that farm? And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, like it had all the horses had run away, but they were actually just like dead out there. And
Shit.
we found that little girl and she gave us the ribbon. He was like, oh, I do remember that. That was complete BS.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
oh my gosh.
Have you ever like made anything up
All
that
of
ended
it.
up being completely just latched
like,
onto
that's my
you by
day
the
job.
Super
characters?
memorable.
90%. I'm about to
okay.
reveal something. I follow the kind of codex belief of no plan survives contact with the enemy. Not to say the players are the enemies, but no plan that you make will ever really fall into place the way you want it to. And honestly, it makes, once you accept that, you become a really good storyteller because you can start using this kind of different muscle of your cortex that sees I call it the decision tree. You have to prep in such a way where if this, then this, and you follow that. If this, then this, yes and no, kind of binary, and kind of go in different directions. You can only prep so far and so deep. And I guarantee all of us have, as players, done something that the DM went, oh shit, yeah, just like, it's like, oh God, what do I do? And as a DM, it's like, you know what, just roll with it. And for me, I think my greatest success, the only reason I'm a successful professional dungeon master is the last 20 years, all I have really to say for myself, what I've honed is the ability to go, okay, now this is happening, and just kind of just start going, okay. And there's only maybe like 3 moments on Twitch stream where I had to go, I need to take a moment. Can we go on intermission? Because I'm like,
momento, por
I was like,
favor.
I need a moment because they just like the players broke me with the decision that they've made. And one of the decisions was I gave them like a Pandora's box. And I had a whole like situation where they would basically be summoning like a very powerful exiled arc fae, like the fae of the Shadow Court, basically. And I was like waiting for them to open this box, and they didn't open this box for like 30 sessions. And I'm like,
Oh
I
my
got to the part
God.
where I'd forgotten about the box.
Oh my.
And they are now fighting a different, like a big bad of the story. And they're going like, it's looking bad. It's looking like a total party kill where it's like people are stressed and people, like 2 people are down, 2 people are up. And then one person goes, I'm opening the box. And I go, what box? The box? You're opening the box now? And so what ends up happening is she opens the box, releases this entity that's just as powerful as the big bad, and they make a deal or something goes, or like that, or it's basically just saying like Godzilla fight King Kong now. And
Right.
we're just going to run away. And so I have to
love
like,
that.
I was like, oh my God, how would this happen? How would this person, I had to go, how would this entity react to this entity with, are they going to make a deal? Are they going to fight? Are they going to fall in love? No, I don't know.
Wow.
But it was just one of those things where
Oh my God.
I
All
was
things
like-
happen for a reason, guys.
I was like, why couldn't you have done, like, it was supposed to be this moment where like the Shadow Court Queen of Secrets was going to make like deals with them and make their wildest dreams offered and kind of torment them a little bit. But no, it just became like a
Boss battle.
First boss battle because she's like, I'm opening the box. I don't care what's in it. We're about to die.
Oh my God.
So it was like
a grenade. Just pops
yeah, it's the
open,
holy hand
shucks
grenade.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a moment where I'm like head in my hands going, oh my God. But you know what? They remember that and they still talk about that. That was
is a
our
fun
season
story.
1. We're on season 3. That was season 1. It's about 1 season per year. So that was something people still talk about.
Wow. So how often? So you say you have seasons and
Yeah.
they're yearly. Is it the same group? I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
No.
Same group,
Different group.
different group,
I-
and how often? And
so
how does this work?
Twice a week is my
Okay.
main campaign, and we'll play for about almost 8 months to 12 months, twice a week with some exceptions. So that's a
okay.
lot of sessions. So
How long are your sessions?
3 to 5 hours.
Okay.
And yeah, a minimum of 3, pretty much maximum 5. Season 1 started like it was my first real attempt. It was really what got me into this, and I just kind of I handpicked my people very carefully because it's a business at the end of the day. As much as I want to have fun with all my friends, I got to pick people who really represent the business end of things well and represent themselves in such a way where they're mindful of an audience. You know, not to say that I'm not friends with people who don't do that, but some people are just generally have really good experience in situations like that. Like I literally have like a friend of mine who's a retired CEO. And so like she brings to the table that, you know, an element of organizational minded, who are we catering towards? You know, I can't just go off the rails right now for playing a game in front of an audience. So people who are mindful of that. But season 1 was some friends that I just said, you know, let's give this a shot. Season 2 kind of rotated, you know, at least 1 or 2 people around. And season 3 has been a brand new group of people who actually started as viewers and ended up,
that's so cool.
yeah, they all started as viewers and they were wonderful contributors. I have like a interactive element in my chat where you can give biddies to make random things happen in the game, or you can give the players reroll inspiration. You can give the enemies a debuff or all kinds of things. So my chat actually can affect the game, which is so awesome. And they do. So it's not just throwing biddies for fun. Sometimes you throw biddies and you're like the 5th player at the table as the chat, which is sick. So these 4 people are currently in season 3 right now, are doing an incredible job. They're outstanding. And they started as viewers and then they started helping me with the business end of things. And I just said, you guys are doing so much work for me and I can't pay you. Can I just bring you on and just give you a game, game of your lives? And they'll tell you this has been the most fulfilling trade that they could have been offered to be.
Wow.
So helpful. Yeah, they do like help me with my slides and marketing and you know, the hype and just, you know, just checking in with the audience and the following. Just make sure if everyone's having a good time, no one's having a bad time. If anyone's having a bad time, that I get to hear about it. Because sometimes people are a little intimidated to say like, oh, I had to sit out because, you know, it was too triggering to see the players yell at each other. You know?
Okay.
So it's nice to have some extra friendly ears out there that isn't me, I guess, listening in. So yeah, that's what season 3 is like right now.
How cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. So, and every season is about 80 episodes, 80 sessions sometimes. Yeah.
Wow.
So because sometimes we only get playing once a week, twice a week. Sometimes we have to skip a week. You know how D&D is scheduling.
Yeah, everybody's schedules are stressful.
It's the bane of D&D. Real life.
So what is like one of your goals for next year?
Oh, that's a good question. My goal for next year is to have a physical studio location. And my goal for next year ultimately is growth. And every year has involved growth. Obviously, if you're maintaining, you're succeeding in this line of work, but I'm a bit more ambitious than that. And I've seen a lot of my parallel streams, people who are doing almost exactly what we're doing. The key of really true enjoying viewership is seeing people physically together. Like that's what probably makes this podcast like way better than if you guys were on a Zoom call. Is you're physically in a room together, you're bouncing off of each other with your guests, you're having a good energy.
So we're all friends outside of it.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot too.
But you know your friends.
It is
but
nice.
People get to see it.
Yeah, like one of my goals, like when we had first started this, was like to have luckily we have extra space. We don't have to rent another location. But yeah, it was like I want to do this like physically with my friends. I think it would just be fun for people to watch us like hanging out and like
Yeah.
interviewing
Yeah.
people that are in the nerddom.
The nerd. We all want a dungeon in our basement. That's what everyone
totally.
wants, right?
So I'm really excited for you. I hope that you find a place. I hope that it starts soon.
Yeah. And, you know, it's
That'd
like-
be very fun to watch.
At the
Yeah.
very least, my whole plan is at the very least, everyone in the community, I want to bring them into a game. And I've worked with the Crit Fail crew, with Trevor Fail. He's amazing. I work with Scarlet 64. She's fantastic. I've just kind of brought these other people into the game just to collaborate. And that is such a cool experience. So one day, maybe you three get to play a game on my channel as guests for
That
our
would be
show.
so
Fun.
fun, especially now that we know
Yes.
that like the voices and everything else is,
Mhm.
and we're all cosplayers too. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
We'll bring it.
dress
We can
up.
do it.
We'll
Yeah.
dress up.
All right, we'll do something. We'll
That'd be a
my
blast.
people will talk to your people.
Hell yeah.
My sock puppet.
Oh my god.
our people are all sitting right here.
These are our
You're
people.
looking at our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting back into D&D, you had some, what are the house rules that you would recommend?
Okay, so how many of us have been knocked
Hold on a
unconscious
second. Is that the
Wait,
question?
can we
How many of us
ask
have
that
been
in a
knocked
different way?
in a game?
You should just start with that.
in game. Have your characters ever been downed in game? In a
Almost,
fight?
but no.
Almost, but no, really.
Yeah.
Like you guys have never been in death saving throws, is basically what it's called.
Oh shit, no, yes I have.
I was like,
Okay.
Yes,
what
I
kind
have.
of-
I
what
had to
kind
think
of-
about it for a second, but yes, I have.
I was like,
My
what kind of
Cthulhu
bounce
character
house
died.
campaign?
No.
Okay.
And my DM,
Old age.
no, a zombie. My
That's funny.
Not of
DM
old age.
took my
Smallest violin.
character sheet and just ripped it up in front of me.
Old school.
It was real sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, rip it up, fire, whatever.
Cthulhu is a rough game, especially for newbies. This is
Sorry,
our-
Cthulhu is a rough game for newbies. For those of you guys who don't know, that's a bit advanced. That's a lot. That's more complex. So proud of
we
you guys
are
for doing
learning the
that.
hard way by literally dying.
Baptism by fire.
What do you do when people get knocked out? I'm scared to ask.
So no. This is a good thing. This is so. It
Oh,
sucks
sip this
when
real
we're
quick.
knocked out because we can't interact, and the stakes are high, and the emotions in those moments are rich. I mean, imagine if one could feed off emotions. Those emotions would be so heightened. It would be a kaleidoscope of craziness going on. So much is going on, and then you're knocked out, and you're not a part of it anymore. And I thought that was uncool. So I said, when it's your turn, instead of you rolling a death save and going, okay, that's my turn, good luck, everyone, I say, I'm going to roll the death saving throws secretly. And then I let you spend your turn telling everyone a secret about your character or reading a letter that your character maybe would have had on their person for the others to read should they die. Maybe tell us a secret about their wildest dreams, their greatest fears, or their hopes to an alternate reality. If they did live a long life, what would that long life be just in case that character does die? And so we get to have this closure just in case something does get, because that way it's not just I rolled the numbers and now I'm gone. It's a bit more, and people are like crying and people are getting into it and they're like, I want my friends to know that I would have wanted it this way because it would have been me instead of them. And you have those heroic moments. And
We
me,
get into our characters, so I appreciate that you put that work in. Because when we die, we're just like, we just lost like months of our gameplay,
identity-
and our
identity death.
identity.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like
Yeah.
that's so cool that you do that.
And then the other reason I do that for is because I take every opportunity to remove metagaming, which for those watching, it's when like player knowledge bleeds into the character's knowledge. Us as players, we know everything that's going on because we're around the table hearing it, but the characters are in this world. They might not know what's going on. And say two of you are down, say that your teammates are down. And as a DM, I'm rolling death saves. So you don't know who's on the verge of death closer. And you have to make a choice to save one. If you have a choice to save one and you know the death saving throws, you're going to make that choice predictably every time to the meta, which is what you know.
Okay.
But your character doesn't know who's closer to death. So if you have that one potion left and you got to get someone up, you get to make this choice that's a bit more meaningful, a bit more, it's more intense and more emotional, which is once again, we're feeding off of that kaleidoscope of intensity that's going on. And the immersion is so much more rich in those moments. So you go, okay, I don't know who's closer to death, who's closer to making it, what's going on with the death saving throws. let's bring up Bears or let's bring up Rebecca. So
Yeah.
so that's a pretty gnarly
Who are you
rule.
saving?
There's a real so the
Between
people who are
everybody,
listening
or-
instead of watching.
No. We've got two dying tieflings.
So the people who are listening instead of watching,
sick.
when Charm brought up this new rule, Danny took some healthy swigs because this is a stressful decision.
Yeah.
So Danny, what's up? We're dying.
In character, who's your character close? Like somehow closer to? Who's actually?
We've actually never been in a game together, so she's probably gonna say Bears. But that's
Probably going to have to
Okay.
pick Bears
Well, that
because,
doesn't-
but my
I
character
understand.
doesn't really have. I'm thinking like Geralt, they don't really have close ties. They're
Right.
like, I just
So
want to
you're
do the greater
practical.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of a new addition, so I don't really know you very well. And she's part of my team, and I need her to continue on to the next game. So I
Oh.
would probably have to choose Bears.
Nice. All right.
Just because I might
Do
need
with-
her next time.
It's like do with that knowledge what you will now. Now that you have it.
So I'm just gonna pencil that down next time we play together.
I've just caused something here.
Kill.
Let's
Dan.
see. She's actually writing something.
Oh, in what ways are you going
Actually,
to
don't
do
zoom
it?
in on my handwriting.
Right.
It says kill Danny's character.
Oh God.
I'm excited for this moment.
Oh boy.
Bring
It's
it,
on.
girl.
Where can I watch this game to see the fallout? I
On
want
your stream.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
This is gonna happen
Of course,
in the game.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I might make it a Hunger Games scenario for you guys. Who knows?
my God.
So you actually do cosplays sometimes too.
Yes, I love cosplay.
I want to hear about that.
I'm not crafty. I believe like I love my whole goal was like make money so you can give money to the artists that are doing this for a living. Like that's like my dream. So I started off with very little, there's a lot. I'll say this. There was a lot I was putting on the back burner in my life, and cosplay was one of them because it was so involved, as you guys know more than anyone. And then I had cancer. Well, first I was in a plane crash, and then I had cancer. Long story. And that brought to my attention how much of things I wanted to experience, things that made me happy that I was saying later. And when presented with the very real mortality of, oh God, I might not have
There might
later.
not be later.
Why don't I stop grinding myself to pieces in a 9 to 5, pick a job that I actually love, do it for people I actually care and respect to be around. And then if I have the money, then to start spending it on things that make me actually like light up. And cosplay makes me light up. And, going to Ren Fair and like these big angel wings that I paid good money for the angel wings and go with full costume and look just awesome and have people take pictures of me every 5 seconds. And, it's like, I feel so awesome. This is awesome. And I actually just recently decided to splurge and because the one thing I learned about the angel wings I got is because they are stuck in one position, essentially, when I turn, I'm like taking out people.
Oh no.
And making a lot of enemies at like conventions. Or like I accidentally like knocked something like, off a counter and like it broke. And I'm like, I'll pay for it. I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But like, I was like, I learned that I can't have a 6-foot body span, wingspan. So I bit the bullet and decided I'm going to buy these remote control articulating wings that fold in and out. And they're like 11 feet wingspan or down to like
That would
2
be
feet.
cool.
Okay.
So those are being made right now by an amazing person in Vietnam who specializes in all of that. And when I get them, which will be hopefully before Halloween, you guys are all going to see that. So that's, and
That'd be cool.
I'm just like,
Send us. some
Yes.
videos.
Yes, please do.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully going to try to be like Cassian from the Akatar series,
Nice.
and then Howl from Howl's Moving Castle in his
Yes.
Raven form, because like if you're going to spend money on wings, you want to make sure you get as many costumes out of them as possible.
Right.
True.
So these are black, right?
So they're black, black wings. So yeah, my
That's
goal
so
is to go
exciting.
using them because they're a showstopper. When you go with even the wings I already have, people are just like, that is amazing. And those
Wings are
pictures look
dope.
so good. And then
For
you get
real.
articulating wings. And I'm like, I can't wait to show people moving wings. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like it makes everyone else more immersed into the event that they're attending. So like
Being in character.
Bears was we were all just at Ren Fair, and Bears was an orc. She got the special effects done, the
saw the
big
pictures.
teeth.
So
Like
good.
it was such a fun thing to go. And like as soon as she walked in to through the gates of Ren Fair, a child started crying.
I love that.
Oh,
I love that.
That is the energy you want to bring on a daily basis.
The most,
Right.
yeah.
Once again,
If
tears.
I don't make a child
Tears.
cry the minute I
Collect-
walk in,
collect
I'm
those
not
tears.
going.
Get a vial. Right here. Cry into that.
Catch the tears.
Yeah. And you are cast. Like you may not be paid. You may not actually be officially cast. But when you go and you are all decked out, like with those wings, like you are, as a cosplayer and you go, and especially if you can kind of act out a little bit of that character, you are cast at that point, and you are actually improving the experience of everyone else around you.
I mean, how many of us have to like kind of defend cosplay by trying to make people realize we're not egotists, you know? Like, I'm like, it's like,
This isn't me, it's a different character.
Well, it's like we all have somewhat very low self-esteem on some level and have insecurities, but when we're in our character, that just goes away. And that's such a cathartic release to just go, I'm not going to be myself. Not to say we don't like ourselves, but just like you don't have to worry about anything once you're in this character and having fun and vibing. And next thing you know, like you're checking someone else's costume out and you forget you're in costume because you're having such a good time checking their stuff out. And it's such a good, healthy thing. So a lot of people are like, oh, you just like the attention. It's like, no, I like just being something supernatural in a world where I don't get a chance to be that. So
Well said. Yeah.
Very well said.
yeah.
So if we were trying to find you on social media or anywhere,
How do we find you?
how do we find you?
Trying
Where in the world is
GPS.
Old World Charm?
Tag me. Oh God. So the biggest places you can find me on Instagram. It's _Old World Charm _. That's really just like my way of being able to like announce things that are going on or kind of act as a funnel for getting my projects going or seen. You know, when I publish a book, obviously it's like, please buy this. So, you know, I have a legacy to live on in my writing and also I can pay my bills or things like that. I have TikTok that has blown up because of, well, I don't know, probably the wrong thirst traps. I don't know, but it's
Cassian, maybe.
Yeah, that,
It's so huge on there.
right. That's I'm going to definitely milk those wings on TikTok.
for sure.
For sure.
So that's Old World Charm as well. And then, but my Twitch stream is Skull for Initiative, SKAL for Initiative, FOR Initiative. And if you actually want to interact and be a part of a community, I say go there. You know, it's one of those things where Instagram and TikTok are pretty much just, you know, you're just watching something.
Right.
But if you want to be a part of something and if you're watching this right now, you're absolutely welcome to pop in, say hi, say I saw I caught you from this podcast. And I would love to hear, you know, that you found me through that. And you'll be welcome with open arms and you'll make new friends. Like, quite honestly, it's crazy. It's awesome. So those are the main places.
Open wings.
Yeah.
Open wings. Yes.
Well, thank you again for coming on over to our little podcast, our little show.
Yes,
This is cool. So we're going to play a game eventually,
I
right?
guess we
got
got
it.
to.
We got
it.
We got to.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
We said
I'll
it.
write
It's on
something up.
video. So
Yeah.
let's make this happen.
All right. I'll get
Maybe
to
we can
writing.
get Bunny in on it too.
There you go.
It'll be her first time.
Really?
Yeah.
I would be
Let's do
honored.
it.
I'd be honored. I haven't, you know, destroyed anyone emotionally.
It's been a while.
In minutes at
Today.
least.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's cool. I actually have a review section in my Discord where people left reviews for their first time. And they are like the most, if I'm having a crap day, I read a review. And it's just like, wow, I can't like, because to me, it's just like, sometimes I'm like, okay, cool. We had a good night. We had a good time. And then like 20 years ago, I tried to get into D&D and it was awful. You know, the guys were just like so mean to me, blah, blah, blah. Like, or, you know, I was always like my brother and his friends, and I just couldn't connect to it. And, you know, they killed my wolf companion when I wasn't there that one session, and just all these whole like really crappy stories. And, and then you have them going like, but now I had a great time. It felt like this was the first time I deserved to have. I'm glad I took that chance. It's never too late to get in on it. Because seriously, like I have people who are like, oh yeah, in my 20s playing D&D. This is like, it seems to be like the coolest thing to do right now. It wasn't always. And you have people in their 50s going, holy crap. Like I am so glad I'm jumping in on it now. And
It's just an all ages game.
it is.
It is.
Yeah. And it's, there's not one, I can't think of any kind of person who can't enjoy D&D, because the part of you that makes the least amount of difference is the part of you that's you. It's really your dreams, your wants, your goals, your inspiration, your imagination. That's all you need to bring. It's like it's like you are part of the fabric of the world. You get to give it shape, you know, so you don't need to be something to partake. Yeah. There's no prerequisites. Just jump in.
I would say do not get intimidated by the books and do not get intimidated by the character sheets. It's like another language and it's scary because there's math involved and there's like dice with like different numbers and stuff on it. And it gets very intimidating very quickly, but your DM is like pro master, like he knows. And it's like what you were saying earlier, like you need to just get with the people who live and breathe this stuff. Like they could do it in their sleep. They could explain it to you in their sleep. And you don't have to come as a newbie, like fully prepared. Just be like, I want to play, and they will.
We'll take you through it.
Yeah.
I literally have people in my community that will teach you how to make the character. Like they have people who actually make time volunteering for free, saying, let's get on a call together and I'll help you make your character.
That is so cool.
I know. I'm like, it's one of those things that just, it builds itself. You make a safe place for people to learn something new, to be bad at something and have fun laughing about it. You have something good going on when you have that built into it. So, what you said all about it is don't stress about needing to learn it first. Because if you wanted to be good at something first before trying it, you never start it. You never would. So have fun being bad at it. So you can just keep having fun. And then eventually you'll be having fun being good at it.
Yeah.
On Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and watch some of the one-shots. I guarantee you'll see one-shots where there are new players playing for the first time. And if you look at it and go, I could do that, I want to do that, then don't hesitate.
How hard could it be?
How hard could it be? What's the worst that can happen? Has your DM ever said that? What's the worst that can happen?
Oh, that's time to be afraid.
Are you sure you want to do that?
And that gets us in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, that's right. That's something players, everyone punches that player in the arm, like, don't say that.
Do you have any stories that you can tell us? What are some iconic, legendary moments?
There's so many good moments. Okay, so there is a character, an NPC that I created called Iron Pike. And he was they imagined finding this strange medieval war veteran, this fantasy war veteran, older guy, grizzled, and he's fighting a trash can in an alleyway. And he's yelling something.
Who among us?
Right. He's just going to town, beating the crap out of like an aluminum can. And the players were like, "Oh my God, crazy war veteran! Like he's not obviously I made him. He's not right in his head, or maybe he is. There's something off to him." But everyone kind of wanted to like disregard him, except for the cleric. This cleric who was playing this homebrew race that I called the Yamani, which are people born of Yggdrasil, the world tree. They're born in seeds and they grow and they're plant people.
Cool.
And he was just
fall out.
Yeah. He's like he's just amazed by the human condition. He played a character that was like, everything is new if it's human, which is hard to do as a human, right? So he did a really good job. He goes, I'd like to cast rusting grasp on the trash can. Like I want to rust it and help him fight it. And he helps this homeless veteran beat up a trash can with magic. He like makes magic to make it. And the man goes, you understand, like you get it. And he's like, yes, there are enemies around every corner. We battle demons anywhere we go. He's like the sagacious cleric. And he's like, you do understand. All right. Blah, blah, my name's Iron Pack and blah, blah. He's all crazy. And it turns out that there was a moment where they were in trouble. And who comes to save them, helps them but the war veteran who is helping them along the way, because in his mind, he's like, I just need a cause. And he started behind the scenes. Like I was writing little notes, like making them do perception checks to see if someone was following them. And at first they were like suspicious because like, why are we doing perception checks? But he was trying to keep them safe.
Aww.
And in the last big fight, he sacrifices himself to save them. And the table was broken bawling.
Oh my God.
Because they were just like, he was all, and then I like did this like replay of remember that moment? That was him. When an assassin fell out of a tree, stabbed by someone, like who was this? It was him. It was like whenever there was like extra rations dropped off at the camp, it was him having hunted something, and like him just trying to like in his own way, in his own broken minded way,
I just suffered an injury.
Oh look, I've been impaled. So that was one of those moments that you don't realize how invested you get into a game until a moment like that when a character just like, it's like if you told someone you cried over an imaginary character in a tabletop dice game, they'd look at you weird. But if you play D&D, there's moments that just get you like, holy crap, like I never knew that person
like
had my back.
Cry like during a movie or a book. It's like you're going through it. Like you're living through a story.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a good story when you are invested in it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So at the end of every Skull for Initiative game, we always cheers, because skål is a Norse toast. It's like cheers, and that's the play off words skål, which is roll for initiative, which is starting battle, engaging in the excitement, and that's what I wanted to pair with my brand name was prepare for excitement, and also cheers because we're all friends. So here's to cheating, stealing, and killing. If you are to cheat, I hope you cheat death. If you steal, I hope you steal the heart of the person you love. And if you were to kill time with good friends. Skål.
Skål.
I'm going to need a clap, one from each section.
3, 2, 1.
No. Not together, separately.
Oh, I thought
no,
that-
no, you're
see?
fine. No, you guys are good. Thank you.
Again?
You guys.
You can clap again.
My God.